Well, good evening, everybody. We're back. It's Sunday, the 25th of July, 2021. This is the Veg Grower Podcast live show. So if you're watching back after the event, don't worry. Please join in every 6 p.m. Sunday. We go live, but please do feel free to join in. And if you're out there tonight, thank you very much for joining us. What we're going to be talking about a little bit later on is tools. What's the tool that you've bought and never used, and what's your most used tools? But before that, we'll run through what I've been up to over this last week. But first, let's see if we've got anybody actually out there. So Ballycillian was very early here at nearly 11 o'clock this morning, but he was heading to the allotment, and it was another roasting day. Following on from that, Philly SPB has joined and said hello to everyone. Adrian has joined. Good evening to you. Oracle has joined. Hi, everyone. Nice to share with the Veg Army again. Amanda Joy has joined. Good evening to you. Cornish Heaven has joined. Good evening to you. Turbo Stream has joined. Good evening to you. Nikki Nature has joined. Good evening to you. Beatrice has joined. Good evening to you too. Idaho Garden Girl has joined as well. Good evening to you. Dirk has joined. Hello from BC. It's Sunday, listening while I am weeding. I would say good evening to you, but it's probably lunchtime where you are as it is. The same for Idaho Garden Girl as well. Probably not quite evening where you are. Hargrave Gas has joined. Evening, just got home from a few days away. Very nice. So saw some great gardens. You had to let us know more about this. Rebecca's in the Facebook group, and she's saying good evening to us all as well. Thank you. If you are watching in the Facebook group, I may not see who you are, so just as Rebecca has done, just let me know in the comments who you are. Allotmental has joined. Good evening to you. Richard Masterson, hello from Feet Lauderdale FLA. Good evening to you. Cool Blades Dubai. Hi, new to this, but a regular for the Bald Explorer. Good evening to you. And Ian Suggett has joined. Good evening. Much cooler in the shed tonight. It certainly is much cooler in the shed tonight. Yes. I don't think I'm glowing as much or sweating as much. I've still got the water going, but I've also got a cup of coffee on the go as well in my camping mug. Now, talking of weather, that's one of the things that has played havoc this week. I've been incredibly busy at work this week, so in the evenings I haven't been able to do very much gardening at all. Friday, however, I did manage a couple of hours in the evening just out in the garden, and I managed to cool down quite nicely by that time. It was about 8, half 8. The evening just cooled down, and I was able to work really well in the garden for a couple of hours. What did I do? A bit of weeding, sorting out a few plants, watering, feeding, that sort of thing. Saturday I went down the allotment, went down in the morning thinking it was going to be a lot cooler, but by lunchtime it got a lot hotter. Now, on the allotment, I harvested the last of my garlic. This was the garlic that was sown in the spring, sown very, very late, a lot later than I would usually sow garlic. And at the sort of time when they tell us is the wrong time to sow garlic. But do you know what? It worked. I got cloves of garlic, I got good bulbs. Couldn't believe it. So there's going to be a video coming out on that. And today we've had a lot of rain here today, overnight and throughout the day. So instead of going anywhere, I came into this shed and I've been potting up lots of various seeds, cabbages, perilla, thyme, and then I sowed a load of seeds as well. Basically just making the most of the time that we've got. So over to you guys. Let me know what you've been up to in your own allotments and gardens in the comments. Now, Turbo Stream is saying, I only went to the plot yesterday and did the strimming. Yeah, I did the same yesterday when I went down the allotment as well with my battery strimmer. You know, I've been talking a lot about my battery tools. And I certainly think that this heat that we've had, I know perhaps to some of the other people, this heat hasn't been as hot as it sounds, but this heat is just not been worth, in my opinion, trying to push ourselves too much. We don't have air conditioning in our houses. We only just about have them in our vehicles. So get too hot, you can't do much. Ian Beddoes, been pretty good day up here, much cooler but still dry. Well, it's not been dry here, but it's been a blessing having the rain. I've got to say, having the rain just encouraged me to get in here and do work in here. So, yeah, I quite enjoyed that. Philly SBB is saying it's been too warm to do anything other than water. Yeah, I know, depending where you are in the world, you know, if it's still has been very hot. Like I say, Friday evening, it just started to cool down. And then overnight, Friday night, we had the most awesome thunder and lightning storm. It woke me up about 3:30 in the morning, I suppose. And I was laying in there thinking and hearing it and watching the lights, everything light up. Fantastic. One thunderclap actually rumbled for over a minute. I was counting it in my head as it went on because I was surprised just how long it went on for. Idaho Garden Girl has been weeding the garden, got my first tomatoes and starting seeds for full gardening. Yep. Full gardening, that's what it's all about. That's why I've been sowing cabbages and getting more cabbages sown. Turnips have gone in as well. The salad leaves and everything else. So, yeah, getting that autumn gardening, that winter gardening ready to go. Cornish Heaven is saying there's no rain in Cornwall. There's buckets of it here. Buckets and buckets. It's raining right now. It's coming down like the lightning rods. Adrian also has no rain in East Anglia. Well, there you go. Turbo Stream has had no rain for at least 3 weeks now in Birmingham, if I remember correctly. David Mosley, good evening to you. She's joined, and so has Ian McGorgan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Apologies if I ever pronounce anybody's name incorrect. Ballysilly, months since we had rain in Belfast. It's buckets and buckets down. I mean, literally, Friday, some of my water butts were completely empty. They are now overfilling. That's how much it's rained here over these last couple of days. Digwell, hi all, just finished watering. Not had to do water. I'm feeling a bit bad now. Promised rain never came. It all came here. That's the thing. Obviously, Digwell, it all came here and didn't come to you guys. So apologies for that. So basically, everyone's been pretty busy dealing with the weather and making the most of this sunny, well, I want to say this sunny, and everything that's going on with the weather has been a big topic from what I've seen. Richard Gordon is joined. Hello, all. Sorry I'm late. No problem. So, I think this weather is... made it a bit tricky. I know we've got rain coming, and I recognise I'm probably one of the only people that's got rain from what I can see. I reckon we're going to have lots of slugs and snails. It seems like a very tricky year for slugs and snails. Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, this was a suggestion that came in last week. Obviously, keep letting me know what you've been up to in your own allotments and gardens over this last week. We're going to start the first subject off with a tool that you have brought or given to you that never gets used, and why. So let me turn on the other camera. That should, there you go. You can see me up, and no, you can't. Let me swing over to the other side. See me up in the top left-hand corner as well. This is the tool I got given for Christmas. I actually asked for it, so it's my own fault, a few years ago. And what it is, it's called a seed saver. So we open this up. Each different coloured trough has the holes at different spacings. So let's try and separate this. Am I breaking up on the sound? Ian was saying. Apparently, I don't know. Is the sound coming through okay? It should be. I mean, the signal's a bit dodgy tonight. We've got little holes alongside this in here, which are intended for seeds to fall through when you're trying to plant them out. And the idea being, you put a few seeds in here, you shake them along, get them all lined up, and then you, if I remember right, twist it like that. The seed falls out, and it should then give you the correct spacing for all your seeds. So I can't remember the routine. It was like, I think the orange one was carrots, yellow one was parsnips, something like that. I used it once when I first got it and never used it again. Reason being, I can go back onto this camera now. The reason being is that I found it awkward and fiddly to use. I ended up spending more time trying to sow these seeds, leant over on the garden with getting backache and just sowing a few seeds, which on a hard clay didn't come through. Something like carrot, I find, needs to sow thicker and then thin out. That just did not work. And it took me so long to do something like a row of carrots that by the time I'd used it once, I never used it again. It was just complete and utter waste of time. So that, for me, is a tool that I was given, and I did ask for it, so it's not like anything I didn't ask for. I asked for it, and it was absolutely useless. Now, to some people, it might be a good tool, but for me personally, it was absolutely useless. So over to you guys. Let me know what tools you brought that have been useless for you. Quickly into the comments. Cool Blades Dubai. We have had hot weather in Dubai for the past few months. Some days 48 to 50 degrees. We did scatter some seeds in the ground outside a few months ago, and the other day we harvested a watermelon. I have tried for years to grow watermelons. I've got some very, very tiny ones, never managed it. And I think it's down to the heat. I mean, Dubai, 48 to 50 degrees, that is very hot. And we're moaning when we're eating 38, 40 degrees like we've had this week. But we don't really have air conditioning or anything like that. So it's challenging indeed. Ballyseed is saying the sound is great there, as is Idaho Garden Girl. Ian is saying, yeah, but okay on Facebook. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if anybody else is having trouble with sound. Please do let me know. Worst tool was a cheap hose that kinks too easy. Lesson learned. Yeah, we've all done it, haven't we? Brought a cheap hose that you try and use and it kinks too easy. Or the adapters that just pop off as soon as you try and use them. I don't use hose pipes that often anymore. It's just occasionally I need one. But last year I did go out and buy a really good hose pipe from Hose Lock, I think it was. Just for that very reason. You buy it once, never have to worry about it again. Cheap hoses. Do you remember the expanding ones that they would say would start off very small and then you turn the tap on and they expand? I don't know if anybody ever bought one. I bought one of those years ago. Very expensive for what they were. We had a tiny garden then, but it did actually work quite well until about 3-4 years later. Ian Beddoes, worst machine was the electric leaf blower. Kids use it now as a beach ball for blow football. Yeah, I think the trouble with electric leaf blowers, my understanding is when leaves used to get wet, it used to stick to the ground and not be able to lift. And even the best, or some of the best electric leaf blowers were no good. TurboStream, I brought 2 bags of veggie mesh, 5 meters by 2 meters, still yet to use them. I'm just trying to think. I sometimes I think used to end up buying some of that cheap veggie mesh that we used to buy from somewhere like Poundland, and that used to send or sit there doing nothing as well. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. In fact, on my shed on the allotment, I did see some yesterday. That's why I was looking down there to see if I've got it. Cool Blades Dubai, sound is fine here, and Turbo Stream is also saying sound is fine. Okay, so I'll stop worrying. Rachel, I believe we brought the X-Hose. That was it. Please don't waste your money, anyone. Useless. That was the expanding hose that I bought years ago. It didn't do too badly in our small garden, to be fair, and it lasted, but would do no good in this garden. What else have we got? So, Cool Blades. Worst tool was one of the special recoiling hoses. Maybe it was poor quality, but rubbish here. Last about 5 minutes. Funny enough, that's exactly what I'm saying. I've just realised if you want to call in, the phone line is going across the bottom of the screen. If phone lines are open, so please do feel free to call yourself and ring in. Or if you want to zap yourself in and appear on screen, just click the link that's going up in the comments. Unless you're in a Facebook group, you won't see it in the Facebook group, way Facebook works. But yeah, if you want to zap yourself in and add to the conversation. What else have we got? Best tool is a 3-fingered hoe. It must be 40 years old, and I love it, from Stuart R. Yeah, we'll get into best tools a little bit later on. Let's just stick with the one tool that, or tools that have wasted your money. I don't want to be negative to the tool company, because like I said with this, it's like I said with this tool, it's a good tool. It just wasn't for me because I found it too slow, slowed me down too much, and hurt me too much in terms of getting backache. So I don't want to say it's a bad tool. It just wasn't for me. What else have we got? Turbo Stream is saying most used. There we go. Most used tool is a metal hand trowel and a recycled chicken manure bucket for weeding. Good one, good one. Digwell is saying to, come on. What's going on there? There we go. The sun signal just dropped out there. Cool Blades, you get what you pay for with expanding hoses. Good one of the brass fittings. Took me a while to work this out. Richard Vobes has joined. Good evening to you. Yeah, I've got to say, I did buy one of the expanding hoses when they first came out. One of the really good, at the time, expensive ones. And it was fine, like I say, in my small garden, it was fine. It lasted till we moved here, but it was just no good in this garden because it didn't expand long enough for this garden. Now, Turbo Stream mentioned that his veggie mesh that he brought a little bit earlier on and sat on his shelf doing nothing. And he says he brought it from Wilkinson's, but the size was awkward. Hargrave Gas. I got a shredder for chopping up branches, etc. Went for a cheap one. Rubbish. Won't cut anything, so have to use your lawnmower approach. Yeah, my lawnmower approach. So what Hargrave Gas is talking about there is whenever I do any pruning or anything, I throw everything on the lawn and run over it with a lawnmower. Probably not good for the lawnmower, and that's probably why I've destroyed a few lawnmowers, although they've always been old lawnmowers. But what that does is just chops everything up nice and small, goes into the compost bin a lot easier, rots down quicker. But a few years ago, I did buy a shredder like Hargrave Gas. I bought it secondhand, and it was rubbish. I tried using it. The blades wasn't sharp enough, so I threw it in the back of a shed and forgot about it. Last year, I did go and buy a Ryobi shredder, not sponsored by a Ryobi or anything like that. And I tell you what, it's the best thing I've ever bought in terms of shredder. It does do very, very well, but it's not a cheap one. It was about £150 if I remember right. So it was worth quite a few quid, but it does do the job quite well. Cool Blades Dubai. David is my name. Hello, David. Sorry. I tend to use whatever name is on screen anyway. Thanks for the advice. We seem to have a lot of the Chinese made ones, inferior products over here. Yeah. I think the Chinese products are okay if their quality control is good. It's all down to quality control, not so much how cheap it's made. Idaho Garden Girl. I bought a Ryobi battery-powered hedge trimmer that won't cut anything larger than a quarter diameter. Useless. Oh, that's interesting. The reason I say that's interesting, I bought a Ryobi battery-powered hedge trimmer at the beginning of this month, and it's done a great job for me. It's done a really good job at cutting everything down. So I don't know what's gone on there. It could be a different model, of course. My one I only bought this month, so it could be a newer model, and they could have worked out the kinks. Ian McGorgan is saying cruelty to lawnmowers, lawnmowers. Absolutely, it is cruel. I mean, I've always preferred petrol lawnmowers in the past for that very reason. I'll run over, good thick branches just to get it all chopped down. Bits go flying off everywhere. I'm amazed I've never smashed a window doing it, but everything got rotted down. However, now I've got this shredder. I'll probably use the shredder a bit more on the thicker stuff. TurboStream, I bought an expanding hose. Still works a treat. I bought another for filling my camper van water up. They are much better than the traditional one I find. And Beatrice is saying, I have an expanding hose. Love it. And it has the brass fittings. So as Digwell said, from his experience, the brass fitted ones are the better ones when it comes to expanding hoses. And I'm trying to remember if the one I bought that actually did do quite well had brass fittings. I know I did buy another one after that. And that was rubbish. Absolute rubbish. It split, it leaked, and I think it had plastic connections on that as well. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a swig of coffee. So yeah, what Digwell was saying about the brass fittings makes sense, and I think it's also down to getting a good manufactured one as well. I've got to say for that. Idaho is saying, good for you, Richard. I've used mine once and there it sits 2 years hence because pick up the pruning shears secateurs instead. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was lucky with mine when I bought it, but then because I am slowly buying more and more Ryobi battery powered tools because the battery fits in so many different tools, drills, lawnmowers, etc. I do have quite a powerful battery for it, so that might be the difference as well, getting a real powerful battery. Ego hedge cutter is a good and cuts big stuff or has big gaps between the blades. Now Ian is a gardener by trade, so he probably has some real professional stuff that does gets used daily and goes through hard work. So Ego, I think I have heard of Ego, and I'm told it's a very, very good one. So who knows? Well, Ian knows because he's suggested it, of course. What else have we got? TurboStream. My hose has plastic fittings. Perhaps I am careful with it. Well, I'm wondering, you use it to fill up your camper van, so I'm wondering if it's because you're not using it regularly, and when you do use it, or when it's not in use, do you pack it away back into your camper van so it's not left out to the extremes of the environment? That's what I'm wondering. Idaho does say sometimes their items are different between the UK and the US. Yes, tell me about it. There's some items that you have out there in the US that I wish we had out here in the UK, particularly something that works with this Ryobi batteries that would just make my life so much easier. So yeah, there's always differences. I think there's certain quality laws as well that make a difference as well. We have government is very strict with this stuff in this country. Swig of coffee again. So funny enough, as we happen to be talking about these poor hoses, Richard Phobes is saying, I need a hose for cleaning my van, but no tap outside. Well, it's easy to put a tap outside your house. We can do that for you, Richard. Not a problem. Very, very, very easy to do. But let's find out what hoses not to buy, and then we'll go through what hoses we can buy. So to anybody that's joining and wondering what we're talking about the tool that you have bought that never gets used. And the example I've given for myself is this seed saver, which is meant to save time, make it easier to sow seeds. It didn't work for me. Possibly because of how I was using it, possibly because I'm trying to do a lot of them instead of a few. And quite a few people are saying that the expanding hoses are, unless you get a decent one, are not very good. And a few other people have shared their ideas or their tools that they haven't used that much. And at TurboStream, who has the plastic connectors on this expanding hose, is saying that he hardly uses his hoses, so that's a fair point. I think because it's not used so much and it gets packed away, it probably is a good one. Or it's lasting for him, I should say. Now, on that note, I've been cooking again. And I've made another little video, which I'm going to play now, and then we'll come back and show you what I cooked. So there we go, pea, lettuce and mint soup. And I've got some right here that we can, let me bring it in. Like I say, it's a nice little greeny colour that you just know is going to be full of fresh, healthy goodness. Now, let's find out what it tastes like. Yeah, that's really nice, actually. Really, really nice. Got this real nice minty freshness is like an aftertaste, but nice, stodgy, fresh peas, fresh lettuce, all mixed up. It's really nice, really nice. I like that one. That recipe was actually sent to me by Chi. I don't know if she's out there tonight, but it was a National Trust recipe that I adapted. Oh, I quite like that. Very, 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 very nice. So let's have a quick look at the comments again. Richard Phobes is saying, you often see cheap peas in supermarkets, but can we trust them? Cheap peas? Cheap hoses. Got peas on the mind. Again, it's like I say, it depends on the manufacturer and so on. I mean, and even then, they're probably quite often built by the same people, just badged under different names. So it's a difficult one. The good thing is nowadays we can get reviews on equipment quite easily and find out how it's lasted for people. I mean, that's the thing I love about Amazon. You can really find out reviews from people who have bought it. Ian, I was getting the mower, but not as powerful as a petrol, so I had to get an Atco and so pleased with it. It's 100 years of Atco. Mr. Phobes, Greenworks, a battery mobile jet wash. You just fill with water. It's good. Yeah, I mean, battery lawnmowers probably are not as powerful. I do agree, but they certainly do the job for what I want. Cool Blades Dubai is asking, peas from the garden. Yeah, peas from the garden, potatoes from the garden, mint from the garden, lettuce from the garden. Vegetable stock wasn't made from the garden, to be fair. I usually do make a load of vegetable stock up or chicken stock up as well, but I didn't use that today, admittedly. Nigel has joined. Mr. Money Boots, hello and how are you? I love and miss fresh vegetables from my garden. I couldn't live without my fresh vegetables, I'll be honest. So I absolutely love it. Chili con carne, Mr. Phobes is cooking. Turbo Stream goes on to say that looks tasty. It really is quite nice. As does, I think it could be Rebecca or Stuart R. I'm not sure, one of the two, but whoever's in the Facebook group also saying it looks delicious. I'm really quite impressed with it, actually. Ian Meadows is saying, serve with Gazzini sticks or Melba toast, yeah, or just some nice crusty French bread. Turbo Stream loves making soups in the winter with stuff from the plot. I love making soups all year round and then just freezing a load ready for the winter. And that way, something like this, real nice fresh peas, fresh potatoes, fresh mint, it's all locked in there. And if I freeze that down, it'll be absolutely delicious. Also, if you buy from Amazon, you can easily return if no good. Yeah. I mean, I often buy from Amazon. I know we shouldn't be. Not less. A lot of people have their complaints about it, but from my customer service point of view, I find it a real fantastic thing. Beatrice is saying the soup looks lovely and tasty. It really is nice. Yeah, it really is nice. I like the mintiness of it. It's really quite refreshing. Yeah, it's a nice one. That's a real nice one. Digwell, I made a broad bean and mint hummus this week. Lush. Oh, that does sound nice. That does sound very, very nice. You have to share the recipe, Digwell, or send a video in for us to play in, and I'll try and make it myself following your instructions and try it live next week or something. Yeah, right. So we caught up with the comments. Now, the other part of tonight's show was to discuss what garden tool is it that you use the most of. Now, for me, I've spoken about this again quite often. Let's go into multi-screen. This, it sits in my pocket whenever I'm on the allotment or wherever I'm in the garden. And what it is, it's a pair of secateurs that folds away like a multi-tool. It's made by Wilkinson Saw, but I don't think they make it anymore. But it's also got other little tools, like a little saw, bottle opener, screwdrivers, I think round, if we go around this side as well, files, a knife, other little files and things like that. And what I find with that, just having this in my pocket all the time, those little jobs, like when you just need to quickly go and screw something back in, or when you're wandering around, they get done because the tool's on me all the time. Even just walking past and that little bush just needs a quick trim. It's there. It's straight there. It's in my pocket. And that's what I love about it. That's why I use it all the time. The biggest trouble I've got now is that one of the screws, I don't know if I switch to the overhead cam, one of the screws there has gone missing and it's slightly out of line. That's the only sort of problem we have with it now, but it's such a handy tool, and that's why it is my most used tool. I can't remember how much it cost me. I've had it for years. If I could find another one, buy all metal like this one, a good quality one, I would buy it in an instant. Let's have a look. Digwell is saying even better if you buy from Amazon and it's an Amazon product. Yeah. Ian Beddoes is saying, my daughter brought a bag of peas from the supermarket and rang to ask me how to grow even more next year. Excuse me. Yeah. Grow. You can sow peas from, well, you can overwinter peas, sow them from sort of October onwards, sow lots of them and keep sowing them all year round. That's my advice. You can keep sowing them early, medium, late, early, medium, late, early, main crops, late crops. Just make the use of spread them out if you want to grow lots of peas. I know Ian does like to grow lots and lots of peas. Ian McGorgan, the worst tool I've ever used is a sickle with a serrated edge, but have used the garden claw and they are good on hard ground. Oh, I missed this one. Sorry, I missed a few comments. I think no, I didn't. My mistake. Sorry. Money Boots Wolfgarten do a great interchangeable range of garden tools. Ideal if you are short of storage space. Yeah, I've seen those. I like the idea of them, a bit like my Ryobi battery tools. I can see them working like that. But I've always been a bit unsure about the Wolfgarten. I believe they're meant to be quite good, but I'm a bit of a lover. Like my old rakes and forks that have a good wooden handle. I love those. For me personally, that's why I've stayed away from the Wolfgarten ones. Facebook user, so this is Rebecca in the Facebook group. I'm trying to use up courgettes, so made a courgette, carrot and orange cake. Would recommend. Oh, that does sound good as well. Again, please do share the recipe. I'd love to try that as well. Welsh Wanda Jason Patrick has joined. Hello to you. Hope you are well. Ballycillian is saying almost the same, Richard. Mine is a Swiss Army knife. Most used tool, a Swiss Army knife. A lot of people will say their tool is a Swiss Army knife. And Adrian is saying, yeah, it's a bit like a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, my one it's very much like a Swiss Army knife or a multi-tool that you might carry. But it's because it's got the secateurs on it, therefore for pruning. That's just sets it out slightly. David Mosley, my most used tool is my index finger for a dibber and so many other uses in the garden. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that the finger or the mind, the brain, is probably one of the most used tools. But I didn't want to go down that route. But we'll see what anybody else comes out with that. Ian Benno says, take a screw out of someone's fridge. No, but nobody takes screws out of fridges at the moment, please, because I'm far too busy. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. The camera just went. It done this before, didn't it? Camera one has annoying thing. I'm just going to unplug it and see if it comes back in. Not easy to plug in now, is it? I'll worry about that in a second. That's luckily why I've set up 3 cameras now, so I can quickly revert to the third one. Digwell, not advertising, Richard. The Veg Grower podcast, but the broad bean mint and hummus video is on my channel. Oh, I'll grab it off your channel then and use it. And if that's all right with you, Digwell, I'll use it next week. And I don't mind advertising myself. It's as long as it's related to what we're talking about. Turbo, the Works battery strimmer is probably my second most used tool. Battery strimmers, yeah, coming into a lot of good talks about battery strimmers. Amanda, I couldn't live without my hoe. Good choice. But also, I like the bottom of a Sharpie as a dibber and my bright yellow so I don't lose them. Bergen and Balls secateurs. Yeah, that's something I've liked about Fiskars, which these, hang on, I just saw them. The orange and black things, just here. Oh, hang on, that's not working, is it? Those orange and black things there, my hedge trimmers, manual ones. Because they're orange and black, I never lose them, so they're very useful for that. I've also got a pair of Fiskars scissors that do exactly the same, or orange and black as well. I never lose them. And TurboStream, does my bike count? Yeah, that counts. If you use it to go to and from your plot, it's 1.5 miles away. Absolutely. Welsh Wanderer is saying they sell tap adapters from Wilkinson's. This is for Richard Bobes, who doesn't have a tap outside his house. I've got to admit, I remember years ago when I tried those tap adapters, they always come off and flooded the kitchen. So I don't recommend them myself. They might be better these days, but we can easily put a tap outside his house, not a problem. Idaho Garden Girl saying tool, hand cultivator, rake, shovel, wheelbarrow are my most used garden tools. Yeah. Wheelbarrow. Now, wheelbarrow. I've got these handles on mine, I-tip handles. They're just cantilever as you lift them up. They really do make life a lot easier when trying to use a wheelbarrow. Hargrave Gas. I've got a Dutch hoe, which I use all the time. That and a Hori knife, which is great for cutting, planting, and weeding. Yeah, I've got Hori knife as well. Love it. Absolutely love it. It's a Hori is a Japanese gardening knife, and it's sharp. It can be used as a little trowel, a little dibber. Sometimes they have measuring, cutting things, obviously. Whole wonder of uses. Beatrice is also saying her most used tool is her hoe. A lot of people are saying hoes. Digwell is saying he loves Wolfgarten. And Wolfgarten do wooden handles as well as metal. I'll have a look out for the wooden handle ones. And the trouble is, I do like what I call my old garden tools. You know, if I grab this, you think, this handle, it's probably been. I got this from a car boot. It's probably been through so many people's hands. It's probably really old. And if it could tell a story, it's probably a lot it can tell. And hand pruning shears, another one to add to Idaho's list. I tell you what, I've got some pictures that have been sent in, which I want to quickly show right now, and then we'll come back and finish or carry on with this. Just while I fix up the cameras at the same time. So first of all, Adrian, aka TurboStream, who is in the audience, has shared this picture of his beetroot that he's shared or has been harvesting today. It looks fantastic, nice, good size in that beetroot. Next, he's also had his onions, which has grown from sets and are looking nearly ready. It looks like they're starting to flop over, which is a good sign that they're going to be ready soon. And he's also captured this photo of the allotment fox that has been out there catching rats and things like that you might find on the allotment. I'm not a fan of foxes, but they only do what they do. Next, Beatrice, who's also in the audience today, is shared us this picture of her plot. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? Nice. A lot of stuff going on in there. What looks like sweet corn and peppers in this little photo. Next, we have what I assume is a pumpkin, but could be a courgette, tucked away underneath one of her plants. This bed, she's actually sown seeds from the Supporters Club, which, as you know, is the club that I run as a way of funding the podcast. And she's also taken on a new part of the plot and is clearing out a lot of creeping buttercup. Now, all the way from Canada, as Dirk has shared these photos of her nasturtium, beautiful red and green colours, looks fantastic. And here we go, look at the length and size of that. That's really amazing how well they've gone. She's also shared this picture of her roots of her garlic. You know, they've gone down quite a distance. I normally find garlic is quite shallow rooted. That looks like it could be a good foot worth of roots. Now, Stephen Ticehurst has gone and harvested a lot of photos as well, as you can see from this. These were grown on his allotment, which, as you can see, is cleared out. And his allotment's not far from me, on top of the downs, in some very, very dry areas. Now, with any luck, let's see. Yes, camera number 1 is back, so I can face you and talk without having to lean away all the time. Fantastic. Right, what have we got? My favorite tool is my bulb planter. I use it for planting potatoes, broad beans, sweet peas, and bulbs, obviously. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say they do that with their bulb planter. I'm not sure where mine has gone to be honest. I used to have one years ago, and I've not seen it for a while. Ian McGorgan, when I started gardening, I used to work with a man that used to have a penknife that he sharpened every day. The blade was so sharp, it would take the hairs off the back of your hand. Well, I've got to say, when it comes to knife, a sharp knife is safer than a blunt knife. So it's always worth keeping a knife sharp, or any tool sharp for that matter, be it your hoe, be it your spade, be it your secateurs. Ernie has joined. Good evening. I trust you are well. Very well, thank you. I hope you are well too. Digwell, tools I use all the time: a cut-off spade handle for planting module plugs, a sharpened piece of hazel stick for planting small plugs, and a homemade wire weeder. Well, that sounds interesting, your homemade wire weeder. How did you build it? Ian Beddoes, we have square tops, so nothing works. Brought a self-sealing, square taps, sorry. So brought a self-sealing tap to go under the sink now and fix to that. Yeah, I got to admit, here's my thing. It's not hard to really put a tap in outside, providing you got the tools, and they're not that expensive either. But I've just had so many of those things that go over the tap burst off and cover. This is when I lived with my mum as well, so you can imagine how well this went down when our garden back there is the first house we lived in, second house we lived in. Sorry, the garden was quite long and quite high up, so by the time the water got to the end of the tap, any end of the hose anyway, had no water pressure, and it would always burst off and cover the entire kitchen in water before I could get back and sort it out. So not a fan, as you can gather. I use a hoe for weeds. Good use. Yes. Yeah, I think what hoe is probably one of the tools that I do use mostly, or a lot, after that little Swiss Army knife, or multi-tool as I like to call it. Can I call my online crop planner a tool? Couldn't do without it. Absolutely. Which online crop planner do you use? Feel free to mention brands or anything like that. I don't have any restrictions on anything like that. Timer Stream also seconds the use of using a bulb planter to plant things out with. Yeah. Yeah, I've got to find where my bulb planter is now, because I'm really you got me wondering what's happened to it. I'm wondering if it's in my garage, which probably means it's buried in there somewhere. We can't even open the garage door anymore because it's broken. Um, Opinion make great garden knives. They have a locking collar and remain sharp for a very long time. Absolutely, they do. Something you may or may not know, I'm a bit of a knife collector, and Opinion are they've got the wooden handle, which is I think I said this, but like with the tools, wooden handles tend to, with use, they sort of mold to the shape of your hand, so they become more and more comfortable, I find. And Opinions unlock, you twist this collar around so it doesn't move. They are always very, very, very sharp, but you've got to always keep them sharp and make sure as well. Another little tip: make sure they don't get any water on them. Keep them rust free. And this goes not just knives, spades, hoes, or anything like that. What I actually do, just down here somewhere behind that chair, I've got a bucket of sand into which I've also poured some oil. And whenever I put my tools away after using them, I try and brush off what mud I can before I pop them into here. But the last thing I will then do is just plunge them into this bucket of sand. That the sand will act as a bit of an abrasive, so it tends to keep the tools a bit sharper, cleans off any rust, cleans off any dirt, but also coats it in some nice oil, which just makes it a bit easier for next time. That's a little tip for everyone. If anybody does anything similar, a bucket of sand goes a long way. Wire weeder, a coat hanger hook screwed and glued into the end of a stick. Great for getting amongst onions and other close pollinate planted crops. Ooh, I like the idea of that. I've just realised there's another tool that I have somewhere. I'm not sure where it is, which is like a circular onion hoe. And now it does a similar thing. Like you get in there, it doesn't damage the plants. Turbo Stream Tea Time Trivia. Hoselock is a Birmingham company. Yeah, that is very true. They are based in Birmingham. Durka, yes, bulb planter. Perfect for 2 by 2 inch plots. Yeah. Digwell, when you find a bulb planter, paint it yellow. You're right, except it's already yellow. It's got a yellow handle, so I think I know where it is. It's just I've definitely I've not really had to look for it for a while, and didn't even think about it until it was mentioned tonight. So I'm pretty sure it's in my garage. I've got a shelf in there full of garden stuff that ends up not being used because it's in there tucked away. Oh, love the sand oil tip. Yeah, to be honest, I read that somewhere, and a bucket of sand it's just so easy, and it just helps keep everything, like I say, oiled, sharp, clean, and it makes your tools last for years. Jim M, didn't know you were a knife collector, Richard. Good on you. Me too. Yeah. I keep my knives locked in a toolbox on top of my wardrobe, so they're not out for everyone to see, unfortunately. But yeah, I do like a nice knife. Amanda is definitely making a wire weeder, so hopefully Digwell has got a video on his channel in which you can see how to make one. If he hasn't, I'm sure he's going to be making a video after this, because there's a lot of people who are interested in this now, including myself. Velco number 2 secateurs, another tool that remains sharp for a very long time. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to secateurs, and these ones I can't do it, but I used to like secateurs that you could actually take apart and sharpen. They don't make so many of them anymore, and if they do, they're generally the cheaper end of the market. My secateurs are not in here. They're in my other shed. But yeah, I used to like where you could strip them apart, sharpen them with a file or an angle grinder, get them nice and sharp, and then pop them back together. And for me, that was a good secateurs, good sign of a secateurs. But we don't really see so many of those these days. My friend sold me his Howard rotavator and the toolbox. I found his penknife that he had as a young man, and he had lost it for years. There we go. That was the who Ian worked with as a. Well, that was weird. That was weird. I've got 3 screens in front of me. One screen went down first, then the second, then the third, and then they all came back on. That was really, really weird. I don't know if it went black for you guys. Termstream, I inherited a small circular hoe. If I remember, I will photograph it and send it in. It's really good in between onion rows. I think it's the type of hoe that I've got somewhere. I'm just not sure where it is. I thought when I built this shed, I'll be able to hang all my tools up on this hanger behind me, but actually it's a bit too small. I'm going to have to, I've got a wall just here. I'm going to, when I strip everything out again, I'm going to put some more hangers up here so I can get more tools out there. Got to say, actually, having tools hanging up and easily to get to is a godsend as well, because if I'm out in the garden, I just walk in and if I need something, grab it, it's there to hand, rather than trying to fight my way to find everything. And normally everything's stacked up against everything. Just hanging is so much easier. Let's have a quick look. What have we got here? McGorgan. I put electrical tape, blue and red, as I can see them when I put them down on the ground. Yes. Yeah. I've known people go and spray their handles as well in a bright colour. Again, that's like I say with there you go. If I move out of the way, you can see those handles, those orange and black handles. So you leave those lying around, you know where they are. So very, very useful. Belly soon. My crop planner is one I made up myself on an Excel spreadsheet. Not professional, but works for me. Yeah, I've tried. I'm not very good with spreadsheets. I'm not very good with IT in a nutshell. So I spent years trying to make crop planners myself, and then I hardly end up using them. I'm still the type of person who likes to take things down paper and pen. That being said, I have been using the online garden planner. I've forgotten the name of it right now. Richard Lewis, who was on the podcast a few months back, created it. I hate it when my mind goes blank. I've used that quite well this year as an idea. You saw me when I built the Christmas bed. We designed that using it, which if anybody's interested to know, actually, on the Christmas dinner bed, I was out there Friday night, giving it a good weed, checking over everything, thinned out the carrots, thinned out the parsnips. We've got carrots and parsnips growing very, very well, starting to produce peas. The onions have started to knock over. The only trouble we've got, or I've found, is that the potato plants, I've had to string up the potato plants to sort of restrict them so they go up, because they were getting so big and so tall, they were almost shredding or blocking out the light to anything else. So if anybody, I know I've got to do a video or something on an update on that, but I know somebody was asking about the Christmas dinner bed. It's, as it goes, it's worked very well. The only thing I wouldn't do, it done it again there. The only thing I wouldn't do again is, or next time, must be my CPU. The only thing I wouldn't do is grow potatoes in that bed. I'll pop them into buckets. I have a set that have a ratchet on them to help with my sore wrists. Is this your secateurs? Actually, I do have some ratchet secateurs as well. They're good because you can get, when you've got a real difficult one, you can sort of get that purchase on it. It definitely does work well. Velcro can be stripped down and you can buy individual parts. I'll be checking those out at some point. I quite like Fiskars, if I'm honest, as well. No, only one. only one screen went blank there. But I'll check out Falco because I like the idea. If you can strip them down, you can buy individual parts. Just think when it comes to secateurs, it's something really useful to strip them down. Amanda, is it Veg Plotter? That was it. Yes, Veg Plotter. That was the online garden planning thing that I use, and it's worked really well actually. Really free service. And it has helped me, I found, get an idea of what size and what I can fit where. Ian Morgorgan, Falco you can take apart or send to a company and they repair them with new screws, blades, etc. If you go to the garden centre, they should know who does it. Is anybody else, I don't know if it's just me, is anybody else getting a blank screen every now and then? I can't figure this out. I keep getting it. Digwell, yes, there is a video on my channel, Richard, called Second Casablanca Potato Reveal. Harvesting a new weeding tool 5 minutes in. So for those that are looking to make this wire weeder, head to Digwell Greenfingers YouTube channel and Second Casablanca Potato Reveal. Watch that, and somewhere in there will be the idea for building this tool. I'm going to have to check it out myself. Yeah. You blacked out then. Thank you. I was wondering, I can't see what's going on. I keep blacking out here. The CPU isn't under, God knows. Technical issues again. Yes, odd blank. And again. Turbo Extreme also likes the pencil and paper method. It works for me. I mean, I went to the point of carrying out or taking with me waterproof paper so that I could jot things down while out in the rain, and it's always worked well for me, and certainly easier way than trying to carry stuff around. However, I've just been sort of thinking that something else that I tend to do. No, it's not that. Whiteboard, which I have all over the place. Actually, I tend to use it. I mean, these work quite well for planning a podcast and what I have to say, for taking notes down like that. And when I do these live shows, it's why I've sort of got an idea of where to go, what's done, what photos have been sent in, but of course, like I say, when taking notes, I can just wipe them off, which means there's no waste like you get with paper and pencil. So that's something I'm tending to use a bit more and more of. And there it went blank. I'm wondering, let me see if it happens again when I do this. No. The blankouts are an optical illusion. Possibly. I don't know what's going on. By the way, if anybody does want to call it in, or the phone line is open 07307 135 174. Alternatively, click the link and zap yourself in and appear on screen, and tell me about your favorite tool or your worst tool, or the tool that you haven't used that much of. What is the time? 7:05. Hopefully the software and everything is going to hold out today, so we'll go on till 7:30 as we tend to do these days. Ian Bellows, I bought a biro at NASA for a few years ago that they said works in space, and they wouldn't take me to try it out. No. Saying that, I mean, yeah, they do have pencils, of course. But when it comes to labels, I don't know if anybody else, I try and make sure that I label everything. And what I found, I always use these white plastic labels. I know it's a bit overuse of plastic, but I found, I've tried Sharpies, but after a while the Sharpies either wash out or the sun bleaches them out. I've tried permanent markers. They also get rubbed off or disappear I found pencil to be one of the most reliable ways because unless you physically use a rubber to remove it, it stays on there. Um, I've tried, like I said, I'm pretty strict at trying to label everything. So I sow seeds like I was sowing earlier today. First thing I will do is write a label so I know exactly what I'm doing. And then, let me pull that back. Very, very strict at doing that with myself. Let me get rid of that comment. And for me, the pencil and that piece of plastic has been the easiest way to keep writing on it, and most reliable way. Ian Meadows has gone on. I knew this joke. I knew he was going here when he said about NASA and the pen. They said NASA spent millions on developing it, then the Russians just took pencils. However, that's a bit of a false story, because if the Russians took pencils into space and they snapped the lead, all those little pieces would get into the electrical systems, and they may not do any good. But the sentiment for that story is definitely very, very true. Pencils, I find, are the most reliable thing to use on our labels. Don't wash off, don't get bleached in the sun. They just seem to work. TurboStream also uses pencils on my plant labels too. I clean them off using an eraser. Yeah, I usually have an eraser in here, but I haven't got one today. That's the only way that you seem to be able to get rid of what's written on there. I've tried. I mean, when I send out my seeds on the supporters club, I also include some labels to stick onto pots. They were a bit of a way to basically, when I print out the labels, I get 8 labels per sheet, and I do 6 packets of seeds. I wanted to not waste the other 2 labels, and I figured a little sticky label that we can stick on will work well. And it does work quite well, but it does rub off after a while. It is only paper at the end of the day. But like I say, pencil, very, very reliable. Excuse me. Try a pen called UNI Super Ink Marker. Part number PNA 125 is very, very precise. The ink lasts 3, 4, 5 years on labels. Okay. We'll check that out. And the best pen I found for plant tags is the Elmer's Painter's Point Pen. I mentioned it in my latest video. The paint has lasted outdoors through 3+ years. Yeah. I will look into both of those. I've just remembered something that I also have found to work out very, very well, actually. On my potato buckets or black pots, I've got a chalk pen, and I've found that works as well, quite well on that. But the chalk pen being white doesn't work on those little labels. But on those black plastic containers, it does work very well. Doesn't wash off in the rain, doesn't get rubbed off in the sunlight. It lasts. I do find when I wash it off, I have to use a scrubber, and it does leave. You can still just see it. You know when you like peel a sticker off and you can see where the sticker was. It does leave that behind on the pot, but just chalk pen. Chalk pen is another thing that I have used that works very, very well. And for me, as TurboStream has just said, simple is usually the best way in the end. And that's exactly what I do. Everything I try and do, I've got this the saying, it's a military saying, keep it simple, stupid. And everything I did, same as when I built this shed, I could have gone in really intricate, complicated. I just went, I'm going to keep it simple. I will look for that one as well, to dig well, that is. Useless info. Here we go. Pencils are used in the escape compartments and submarines because everything else either won't write when wet or dissolves in salt water. ex-submarine. I never knew you were an ex-submariner. Yeah, yeah. I would also imagine the pressure underwater in the submarine. Oh no, so I don't know. Is it atmospheric pressure in the submarine, or is it slightly under, like when they're in space? But I would have thought the pressures acting on the pen could cause it to leak as well. This is going interesting. This is a conversation I didn't think we'll be having on a gardening chat show about gardening chat show is the right way to call it. Talking about pencils and pens and use in submarines. I'm going to have a swig of this soup because it's sitting here going cold, and I want to see how good it tastes. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Oh, love it. Ian, my boss used to get a roll of paper labels that he used to use a typewriter on for plants. I think you can get them from LBS Horticulture in Lancashire. Sorry. Yeah, I've for me, it's about speed. This is why I think the pencils work so well. If I've got to print something off beforehand, it's going to slow me down from actually sowing the seeds. And I'm not, like I say, I'm not a very IT savvy person. I just find that I work better with pencil and paper. And typewriter is probably just as slow for me as well. I mean, if anybody out there is better with IT, it probably can come up with some brilliant ways of keeping track of things, of writing these labels. What's Ian saying as always? Digwell, what did you write on? Didn't the paper get soggy? You can get waterproof paper, Ian. Have I got any of the waterproof paper in here? No, I haven't. I'm looking around all the time today to try and find stuff that we can keep mentioning, and it's not in here. That's slightly annoying. Atmospheric, Richard. Unless the compartment is pressurized for the escape, then the pressure is approximately 1 psi for every 2 feet of depth. Okay, so it is, yeah, atmospheric. So I wasn't sure. I know astronauts are slightly below. They've got a reduced atmosphere in space. No, that can't be right. Yeah, no. Oh, I can't remember now. My mind's boggling. All I know is that, yeah, 0 psi gauge or 1 bar. Oh, I'm getting far too caught in the moment there, talking about something. Right, so what time is it? 7:15. I'm going to have a swig of my water as well. So this week on the podcast, I was hoping to go out and see somebody's allotment, but the way this week has been, hasn't been the greatest time to get out. I've been very, very busy at work. Not that I mind, but I mean, I haven't been able to go out and see somebody's allotment. So following on from Monday's podcast, when I was talking about diseases, particularly fungal diseases that we tend to get, I'm going to continue that on with pests such as slugs and snails. I can see slugs and snails are going to be a big one that are about to pop out in my area anyway. Excuse me. But I'm also going to follow out on birds, rabbits, that sort of thing, and just a few methods that I use to try and keep those things from damaging our plants or eating our plants. Adrian, if you do the Royal Mail surveys, you get loads of paper labels for free. I never knew that. How do you do Royal Mail surveys? To be fair, up until I started the supporters club, I hardly ever used Royal Mail. So, yeah. As more of a petrol head than a gardener, I drove past RHS Tatton Park to go and buy a car today. Should have gone into Tatton Park. I would have. RHS Tatton show was on this weekend, and I wish I'd gone to it. I mean, it's a long journey for me, but I don't mind that. It's one of those shows I keep saying every year I want to go to, Tattoo, and just never get round to it. Talking of garden shows, is anybody going to any garden shows that are coming up over the next few weeks? I'm certainly going to be going to Gardeners World in September. Thought about going to Chelsea. Not quite sure whether to go or not. Anybody else going to any other garden shows that are going on out there? I think this year is a bit difficult with the shows, but next year it could all bounce back. It's like the labels you see on shrubs tied on. I wonder if a carpenter's pencil would last longer. No idea. I know what you're talking about, the typewriter labels. I know what you mean. I think for me, it's just about speed. That being said, not as Digwell has said, something that I was thinking of. No one has mentioned Nigel Moneyboot's labelling system where everything is labelled with electrical tape. A lifesaver for me. Funny enough, that was something I was going to mention as well because, yes, I also keep electrical tape. This one's unopened. For when I move on into pots, and permanent markers seem to last on that, but I do find they do tend to get sun bleached out after a while. Losing my words tonight again. Damn, I'm so late. Good to get here nonetheless. Lovely to see you regardless, Andrew, all the way in Croatia. Malvern, yes, of course, Malvern. I went to that show a couple of years ago. Loved it before all this lockdown. I'm still hesitant about going anywhere at the moment. Facebook user, I assume this is Rebecca. Yes, I'm going to Gardeners World Live at the NEC. If I see you, I'll say hello. Yeah, please do. Please do. I'm probably going to go on the Sunday, but that could change. You'll hear near at a time. Adrian was saying these Royal Mail labels or Royal Mail surveys came from Money Saving Expert Forum. There we go. I fancy going. I do fancy going to gardening show at some point. I normally go around the motorhome shows. Well, there you go. I think you've got the big one, or one of the big ones, quite near to you in the Gardeners World at the NEC in Birmingham. I think it's quite a good one to go to myself, purely because it's so big and they cover so many different aspects of gardening. Not a show, but Michelle, our local garden centre, is closing Tuesday for the season and selling off the plants it has left. Where can I put them? Fill up your garden with as many as you can. If you've still got your motor home, throw them in there as well. If they're selling them off cheap, I think that's... I don't know what's going on. I can hear people cheering outside. I think that's a shame that people are... Our garden centre is closing for the season. There's still so many more things that can be grown and sown and grow. That's a whole other. Don't give me on the garden centre debate. Don't give me on that. Use the pen, I said. Where did you say that? Did I miss something? But yeah, with I think they talk about the electrical labels. That's a good way. Use permanent marker, even Sharpie. They do last a bit longer on these. And I've used it as well. I think Nigel was also codes his and has a thing printed out with the codes so he knows what plants are where. Far too organised for me. I just stick label and pencil. You do a short questionnaire. This is talking about the Royal Mail thing. A short questionnaire. Then, as long as your space in your area, you do a short questionnaire. Then, as long as space in your area you are in. Okay, I'll have to look into that. I will look into that. Turbo Stream, I have the NEC and Malvern fairly close, so I have no excuse about distance. No, Malvern, I went to, like I said, a couple of years ago. Really enjoyed it. Not really big and a good focus on vegetables, which is obviously my thing. Gardeners World at the NEC, I think it's a very, very good show. Quite often see a lot of people. I normally see Nigel there, but also there's a good mix that it doesn't feel. Some garden shows I've gone to feel a bit stuffy. I don't get that with Gardener's World. It feels like there's a good mix. Ian McGorgan, electrical tape. Dad used it as he was an electrician and used it instead of plasters when he cut his fingers. Yeah, we've all done that. I don't advise it, but it worked for him and I have done it. Yeah, it stops the flow. It does work. I saw a comment I've missed. Where is it? Where is it? Sorry, I missed something. I'm sure I missed something. Takes a lot of planning for us. Boot, hired car, and hotel, etc. It's leaving it all till short of all the traffic. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not so easy for you guys to come over for these shows, but I think there must be garden shows in your area as well. There must be, but yeah, it's a lot of travelling. I mean, even for me going up to Gardener's World at the NEC, it's about 2.5, 3 hours travelling. Yeah. Should be time, absolutely. Should be time for Wilko sell-off with seeds at 10p each. Yeah, I can't. I'm looking for buying some more trays. I'm looking around to try and find an example. Looking to buy some more of their trays and even their labels. They seem to sell. There you go. Here's one. These labels, they came from Wilkinson's, pack of 50. I think they usually sell them for £1. When they sell them off, they're at 10p a packet. That's usually when I go and buy loads of them. Surely it is the height of the season. This is the complicated thing. It's the height of season for growing, but most people buy all their garden products back in the spring, get ready to grow. That come, well, added to the fact that when the school holidays are up, garden centres will then try and get rid of all their stock so they can fit in their Halloween and their Christmas stock. Is there football or something going on? There's a lot of cheering going on out there. It annoys me in some ways with garden centres because I don't like to see the Halloween and the Christmas stock until nearer the time. But it's obviously their business. They know what they're doing more than what I do. Michelle is quite ill and does mainly bedding plants, so that's why it's closing down for this season. Yeah. 2020 was the first year I haven't been to the NEC in about 20 years. I go at least twice a year for one event or another. Yeah, it was a first year. Did I go 2020? No. I think I'm due to go to the NEC for something else in September. I just remembered as well. I used to enjoy open gardens, but that all sadly stopped. Love looking what others do in their backyard. Yes. I'm actually thinking of putting my garden on the open garden scheme when they do it. Not this year, it'll be next year when I feel it should be how I want it to look. But at the same time, it'd be nice to go wandering around some of the other people's gardens around here to see what everyone else is doing in their gardens and what works well. Also, if it's in your local area, it's a good chance if one garden has something growing well, there's a good chance it might grow well in your garden. That's why I look at it as well. Go get some ideas. Ian McGorgan, I'm using ice cream lolly sticks as labels. Yes, a lot of people use those. I found that they went mouldy, so I stopped using them. But I think that's where they were in my heated propagators. Seeds at my local Wilkinson's went 50% off, and they are hardly any left. So I don't think we will get any 10p bargains. Keep your eye out. That's what I'm going to say. Keep your eye out, because what they want to do is get rid of all the garden stock and bring in the next season. So like I say, it'd be Halloween or Christmas stock that takes up their place. So they want to get rid of it to make the space. They don't really want to keep it in their stock room. especially something like seeds that has a certain shelf life. So that tends to be why they get rid of it, and I think they get rid of it too early, but it's worth going in for the same. Garden centres also do the same. Digwell is saying they are cheering because they are kicking your cabbages. I hope not. I like my cabbages. I've spent a long time growing those. Ian Beddoes, sorry to hear that. That is an understandable reason. Oh, Adrian is saying to Ian Beddoes, yeah, that is an understandable reason why she's packing it in, being quite ill. But hey ho, not for me to say to anybody else how to run their business. It's just how I would do things. Right, guys, 3 minutes to go, so I'm going to quickly swig on this pea lettuce and mint soup. Beautiful. All right, guys, any ideas for a subject for next week? I did have one come into me. There's a suggestion that I can't think of, but if anybody has a good subject that we can cover next week and try and talk about, then I can put some stuff out beforehand to try and get some ideas and get some pictures sent in and things ahead. Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Wonderful evening again. You're welcome. Like I said, we've got 3 minutes to go, but it's lovely to see you as always. Yeah. Ian Beddoes, have you not brought that empty garden car yet? Empty garden car? What empty garden car? Turbo Stream, I'm off to look at what seeds I can sow. Yeah, there's lots that can still be sown. Like I say, I've been sowing seeds today. David Mosley, your health and gardening. That's an interesting one, but I think that's definitely, with the news recently, that's not a bad idea actually. It's one I want to go through, but I'll get somebody on that. Subject: what will you do different next year? I think we'll save that suggestion for later on in the season as well. Ian Beddoes, have you not bought that garden centre, not car, garden centre? No. I spoke to my mum yesterday, who's looking at buying a new house, and I tried to get her to buy one that had about 2 bungalows and a nursery attached. You know, she can have the bungalows. Don't worry about that. I'll look after the nursery. Trying to persuade my mum. She's not buying it just yet. Ian Beddoes, Ian McGorgan to Ian Beddoes. I used to grow bedding plants, and now the summer bedding slows down till September. So I understand that many nurseries are closed now. Yeah. Where does time go? Thanks, Richard, for a great show. Yeah. We could talk about saving seeds. Didn't we do that last week or a couple of weeks ago? But certainly we can, of course, we can throw that in. Amanda Joy, thanks, Richard. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining us as always. Your health and gardening is a good subject, especially during the lockdowns. It is a very good subject, but I just think I need to get somebody to come on with me who is a health expert. I've got somebody in mind to discuss that subject. Gardening failures and triumphs. I like that one. We're going to do that next week. Yes. Failures and triumphs. And if you've got photos, yeah, definitely failures and triumphs next week. That's what we're doing. If you've got photos of your failures or your triumphs, then please do send them in to me. You can email me or send them by email at richard@veggroundpodcast.co.uk, or you can leave them in our Facebook group. If you've got a video, please do send it to me via WeTransfer. Again, my email address. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification to know when I go live. All that I've got to say, because otherwise I get told off by YouTube and Facebook. Yeah, gardening failures and triumphs next week. garden failures and triumphs. I'm putting that down right now. And then I can see lots of ideas for future. How do people save rainwater? Gardening at an old age. And so on and so on. Lots. I have failures this year. There we go. We need to know about them. And garden centres should keep their car businesses instead of fluffing around with other things. Core businesses. Yeah, I agree. What about care of tools instead of just putting them away in a shed? Yeah, we can do that as well. Care of tools. We'll do that in a couple of weeks. There we go. So garden failures and triumphs for next weekend. And then we've got lots of subjects that we can cover over the next few weeks. Like I say, thank you so much again for joining me this week. It's been great to see you. Great to get the chat going. Great, as always. If you've been sitting there in the background not saying anything, please do say something. It's great to see you. Don't be afraid. We don't bite, and we love to hear everyone's opinions. Right, guys, I will be back next Sunday, 6 p.m. Garden failures and triumphs. Please take care. I'll be back, obviously, Monday. The audio podcast goes out, and that is, as I say, pests. So thank you so much. And until next week, please take care.